And welcome back to Pokemon Team Videos. Today's Pokemon Team video comes to us from Wavy K Cooks, if I got that name right. I might have gotten the name wrong. You're the only one who gave me the suggestion, so here it is. And it is, what is He-Man's Pokemon Team? I grew up with He-Man. I did grow up with him. More the updated versions you got on the Cartoon Network in the early 2000s. So it looked similar to this, but the animation was a bit more cleaned up beyond that. But I still grew up with He-Man. And I enjoyed He-Man, I did. I'll have to do Skeletor's team at some point, too, whenever someone suggests that. But he was a surprisingly difficult character. Now, you might not think that would be the case. Like, well, what, you got Cringer, you got sort of Grayskull, and well, he's got super strength. What's wrong there? I'm like, well, that's just it. Let's actually get down to this team. So first and foremost, let's actually tackle the biggest of the two big ones, I think, and that is He-Man is nothing without the Sword of Grayskull. And there's only 3 sword Pokemon that exist right now: Honedge, Doublade, and Aegislash. So most times Honedge is, the go-to choice for a guy who just has a sword, but He-Man's a little different. He-Man has been depicted many times with a shield, and the Sword of Grayskull is kind of like one of the most powerful objects in that world. So up on the team first, it just made sense that it'd be Aegislash. Aegislash would be the first Mon to be on this team, representing the Sword of Grayskull, and the fact that He-Man does very often use a shield. So the shield and the sword together make a lot of sense. Add on that this is the strongest Pokemon in that line, and it makes sense that this would be the number 1 Mon on the team. Let's get the super strength thing out of the way, too, before I talk about Cringer, because super strength, this was like okay, let me go through all the fighting type Pokemon I can. I did want to use Regigigas at one point, and Domino's just going crazy for some reason. I did want to use Regigigas for a while, but it's known as the Colossal Pokemon, and I couldn't find a Pokemon that is known as the superpowered Pokemon. I know there's a superpowered Pokemon. Maybe it is Machamp. In fact, while I'm doing it, because I did put Machamp here, I'm going to look up, go to Machamp's Pokédex entry and know how it's, or see how it's described. Because honestly, I feel like it is the superpowered Pokemon, and it makes sense. He-Man has just huge amounts of superhuman strength. He is super. This guy actually I think words here. Yeah, it is the superpowered Pokemon. Okay, I did get it right. In crossover comics, has gone toe-to-toe with the likes of Superman. And when you really think about it, he should actually be able to theoretically beat Superman. His powers are magically derived. Shazam technically can beat Superman too, same with Black Adam, because their powers are magically derived, and Superman has no special resistance to magic. He only has natural resistance. Yeah, I don't know. Domino is going crazy downstairs. There's someone either near the yard or there's someone here at the house or something like that. I don't know. Either way, so I doubt you can hear her barking, but she's going crazy downstairs. Yeah. So for the superhuman strength, I felt Machamp worked, and he is the superpowered Pokemon, so that works out great. But now we got the big one. No, the big other thing that if you're gonna have a He-Man team, Pokemon team, you need on this team. That's Cringer, or Battle Cat as it is. Now this. I actually have 2 Pokemon to represent Cringer / Battle Cat on the team. And the first one right out the gate is Luxray. Now, Luxray is not the one that actually came to mind, but Luxray I felt like was the, closest one we could do. And still kind of, I'm not going for a balanced team all the time, but if I am to try to keep a balanced team, Luxray was the best choice. This is because Luxray, being electric type, kind of represents that energy that goes into Cringer to become Battle Cat and transform. It's the final evolution of that evolutionary line, so it also represents, Battle Cat, the transformation to Battle Cat from Cringer. But that is kind of where it all ends, because when looking at Battle Cat and Cringer, there is a very big problem there. There is no cat Pokemon that is a good representation of Battle Cat. Battle Cat is said to be half dragon, half tiger. There is no dragon cat type Pokemon. If I ever get maybe that's something I'll invest in, is a like an art pad or something like an electronic art pad to like actually do art and like do videos for. Because I watch was it Praggy Magic? I can't remember. I'm subscribed to him. I like it. I like his stuff a lot. He's like does a series where he tries to make a type for a Pokemon of every type for in that line. So like a Meowth of every type he did an episode on. He just did a Goomy video, which I didn't actually get around to watching yet. But yeah, like videos like that, like that's a great series. I'd love to do something like that and just put my take in it. But there's the thing is that there, except for like a Meowth, they did like a dragon type for that. There is no dragon cat Pokemon at all. That'd be a cool idea, honestly. I'd love that. In fact, you could easily work around Arcanine and mold Arcanine around to be kind of like that because it's based kind of on a Foodog. Which is technically a lion tiger or something like, or a lion dog or something like that. So you could theoretically work that around. But point where I'm getting at is, I'm going down all the cat Pokemon. None of the Persian Meowth lines work at all for a Battle Cat Cringer. Not at all. You have Glameow and Purugly. No, they're hardly. No. Then you have like Purloin and not Purloin. Liepard and it was I think Purloin and Liepard. And they're again they just don't fit in that. The closest cat Pokemon I can think of that does fit in that line is, and we don't know what Sprigatito is going to turn into, so I can't use Sprigatito. I'm also considering maybe going back and redoing some of these teams if any of the Pokemon from Gen 9 fit on the teams at all. But we'll wait and see what happens with Gen 9 for that. That's a long ways off. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is the only ones that I can even think of that come close to that would be Incineroar and Pyroar. Pyroar probably closer, and even then, not really. So, from the kind of plot point aesthetic, I went with Luxray. But this is where I really kind of had to cheat a little bit. Because then the Pokemon I think is actually the best, at least aesthetically appealing to Battle Cat, is not a cat. It's a dog. Entei, when you look at Entei, compare it to Battle Cat, it looks surprising. I mean, it's not like a dead ringer. No Pokemon's a dead ringer for Battle Cat, obviously. But if you were to like say, what's the Pokemon that looks closest to Battle Cat? I would say it's Entei. It's based off a Mastiff dog, admittedly, but because of the way they decided to base like the Mastiff jowls, that looks like Battle Cat's headpiece. It looks like his helmet. And then he's got his, I don't know, is that supposed to be like, I've never actually understood, is that supposed to be like a volcano, like volcanic rock just hanging out of his back? If it is, that represents, his saddle a little bit. So, look, he's kind of already armored up a little bit as it is. Entei actually looks a lot closer to Battle Cat than any cat Pokemon we have. Granted, it's a fire type, not a dragon type, but still, I mean, I like this idea. But this is just my opinion, obviously. So if you disagree, by all means. Next up, we have a Pokemon that is actually, one other thing we have to talk about when we talk about He-Man is the fact that he is the transform. Yeah, he's transformed. He looks exactly like Prince Adam, just buffer and neuter, with some armor and a sword. That's it. But look, the fact that he transforms from Prince Adam is a big thing. And there's really nothing in Pokemon that kind of represents that transformation, except for one. And I'm surprised how often lately I've been able to put this guy on teams. So, one second. Just need to take a swig of my drink. There is one Pokemon that if you actually give him a sword, albeit a rusted relic sword, I can't remember the actual name, it transforms into a more powerful version. It's Zacian. Look, Zacian starts off as a hero, I believe it's like Hero of Legend, which, by the way, I still stand as someone who actually prefers, no joke, I prefer the base forms of Zacian and Zamazenta more than their actual forms. Now, you could have tweaked it a little bit. You could have tweaked them a little bit and maybe said they had still pulled out a sword or a shield beyond what they have. But honestly, I think those forms look a lot better. They look more... These forms, the Zacian and Zamazenta transformed forms, I don't hate them, but they are a little overcomplicated, if I'm going to be honest. Like, Jesus, that's a lot going on right there. And he just holds a sword in his mouth constantly. It's like... I don't know. I particularly with actually Zacian's form. Zamazenta's, I could actually say Zamazenta's looks all right, but I think Zacian's actually looks pretty good. Actually has a bit of a Roman aesthetic to it. I really like it, actually. But it's a Pokemon that when you give it the item, it transforms. It has the power! Yeah, it's the He-Man of Pokemon, technically. So that, weirdly enough, fits. It was at this point where I'm like, okay, the sixth member. This is where it got really difficult. Like, I already had the first four down. I had Machamp, Aegislash, Zacian, and Entei, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta push a little farther for like the Cringer thing, Battle Cat thing. So I put Luxray on there to kind of fill in the fifth spot. It was the sixth spot that proved to be very difficult. Because really, what else does He-Man offer? I could throw out any one of his random tech or abilities, but that's a random thing, tech or ability, weapon or abilities that he's shown over the years. But that's just, it is whatever. It's not, or the fact that he can technically survive in a vacuum. Like, but that's not anyone who could survive in a vacuum could just have a Pokemon that does that as well. So it doesn't really mesh well on a He-Man team. So I had to think, and I had to go a bit more ideologically lore-wise, like if that statement makes any sense. And what I basically came down to is like, okay, I need a Pokemon that represents the concept of someone finding something ancient and harnessing its power for good or evil purposes. Because that's what this sort of Grayskull is. It's a powerful artifact, sword, weapon, that gives you power of Grayskull. So, okay, is there a Pokemon that can do something similar to that? And I'm thinking, I'm like, really, immediately I'm like, okay, it's probably going to have to be either a mythical or legendary Pokemon, because that's usually plot-driven, ideology, or story plot, that the evil villains, harness the power of the legendary Pokemon in some way. So, okay, legendary Pokemon. What legendary Pokemon have acted in this way? And I'm going through each generation. Gen 1's got nothing that really works that way. Gen 2, no. Gen 3, I guess in theory Jirachi, but not really. And then you got Gen 5. There's a lot in Gen 5, but nothing that really acts in that way. And I'm thinking in terms of the story as well. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. And I'm thinking, like, Gen 7's got some stuff, a little bit, but again, it's like the best you could do is maybe Necrozma, and that I don't really think works. Like, Gen 8's definitely out of the equation. We have nothing of Gen 9 right now. And you'll notice I skipped one gen, and that's because I thought on it. I'm like, well, the plots of X and Y actually evolve using the legendaries as basically batteries and harnessing their power. And they also both represent basically two aspects of the universe, life and death. Now, He-Man, if you were to talk about one for Skeletor versus one for He-Man, Skeletor is obviously death compared to the life aspect of He-Man. He's protecting life, he's full of energy. So, really, it came down to Xerneas. Xerneas, I think, works a bit better in this aspect as well. And it's the Pokemon representation of life. It's beautiful. It's covered in these crystals. Very old and regal looking, actually. Like, it does feel like this, especially when you see it, like, in the anime or even in the game, like Pokemon Snap. Spoilers if you haven't played Pokemon Snap. Xerneas is, like, the final boss that you have to take pictures of. And I've actually always liked her. Xerneas, I'll admit, I grew to actually like Yveltal a little bit more, but I always liked Xerneas. And my sister and I always try to get the opposite game in the new series, just so we can be a little different. And I'm hoping, because if I'm going to be honest, I hope that Scarlet is the one. Because if you're going to ask which color I kind of like between Scarlet and Violet, I like Scarlet a little bit better. I like purple more than red, but I like Scarlet, which is more like an orangey, deep blood red kind of color, versus Violet, which is a shade of purple. But maybe the legendary will work out fine. Anyway, I digress. And my initial thought was I liked Xerneas more, but my sister wanted Xerneas, and like whatever. It's not like it's a big deal. It's not like a life-ending decision or anything like that. And my other families were like, no, it is everything. You ever see that meme where it's like, the guy says, okay, if I win, you be my girlfriend. If you win, I'll be your boyfriend. And then, he proposes with a Pokeball and a ring. They got a baby. And the first choice, he chooses Squirtle, Bulbasaur. I like that. I like that little fun. That's very cute and adorable. Anywho, Xerneas being basically a Pokemon representation of life and probably being around for a very long time. We actually don't know when a lot of these legendaries come into existence. We can assume that Xerneas and Yveltal may be among some of the older Pokemon legendaries, and that's a video you could maybe do at some point, that are probably among some of the older legendaries due to the fact of what they represent. If I were to have a guess on some of the oldest legendaries, and this is just my guess, Celebi due to his time travel. We know Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, May, and Arceus are probably amongst the oldest, if not the oldest. But take those guys out of the equation. You're probably looking at like Groudon, Kyogre are probably definitely up there. Rayquaza may be up there as well. Regigigas is probably up there. I don't even know. I can't even say Zygarde is probably that old. Eternatus. We know Eternatus is like extremely old. Like he's, I think, like 20,000 years old or something like that. So we know he is old, or it's old. Some of them, let's be honest, some of them look more feminine than others. But anyway, I digress. So yes, the fact is, it's a Pokemon that strikes me as an old Pokemon, a Pokemon of a lot of power, but a Pokemon that spends a lot of time hibernating. So it's a Pokemon that if you were to find it and crystallize, you could, in theory, it could pass on its power to you. I just did a lot of sidetracking to basically sum up Xerneas' placement on this team. But still, I think it's the best I can do to represent the type of Pokemon I was looking for. But anyway, I digress. So Xerneas, for that reason, Zacian to represent the transformation from Prince Adam to He-Man, Luxray and Entei to represent the combination of Cringer and Battlecat, Aegislash to represent the Sword of Grayskull, and Machamp because it is the superpower Pokemon, and He-Man is superpowered himself. So, that is He-Man's Pokemon team! Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Hey, I made that sound pretty good. I'll see you next time, folks. I also actually got one more video. Well, technically I got 3 more videos to do today, but let's focus on just the one I'm doing right now. I got another video coming out in a little bit, so thanks for watching. I'll see you later.